Demi Lovato is back in the news, and as Mary said, she's lost weight. She's lost weight.
Yeah,
right?
I noticed that. After her yogurt shop scandal where she told off that random yogurt shop for having a sugar-free option, she actually has lost some pounds, and she took this photo shoot for her album cover. Her album is called Holy F. I'm not going to say it. But she's laying on a dirty crucifix-shaped mattress, wearing bondage gear and staring up at the camera.
There's the picture. I mean, people can see it in the when we went live. So
posters of this album cover were being distributed for advertisement throughout the UK. I'm sure in many different countries. But as you guys, I'm sure know, the UK does not have the same freedom of speech guidelines that we have because of our constitution. They have more censorious policies over there, especially when it comes to insulting religious groups. I'm a little bit surprised to see that this album cover on posters was banned from being displayed anywhere near like where children could be in public. It has to be targeted very specifically if they're allowed to display it at all.
I remember the Advertising Standards Authority, if I remember correctly, is the same organization that banned the Alabama Barker ad because they said it was sexualizing a minor.
Wait, what was that ad again?
That was like for some fashion company, and it's a I don't want to pull I didn't even want to pull the picture up when we first did it.
She's young. She's 16.
And
she
so
looks 10 years older.
That ad was completely fine here in America, but in the UK they wouldn't allow it. So
well, I'm also surprised because usually these censorship rules, these decency rules, don't apply when it's offending Christians.
Exactly.
Yeah, they're allowed.
I mean, we know that this is incredibly common in Hollywood, that celebrities do these publicity stunts where they're like trying to dunk on the Catholic Church while at the same time using the aesthetics of Catholicism to sell their products.
It's
that
hilarious.
Was the Met Gala.
Yeah, exactly. The Heavenly Bodies Met Gala theme, and then Kourtney Kardashian's wedding to Travis Barker.
Oh gosh,
and then Megan Fox and MGK, where like he's dressed like a priest and she's dressed like a nun, and she's like getting fake Eucharist from him on her knees. Like, it's really just salacious, disgusting stuff, and I hate it because of course I'm Catholic, but at the same time I think anyone can make fun of them for it because it's so trite and like Marilyn Manson-esque. Like, you're very antiquated for that.
Yeah, you're antiquated. That's a perfect way to put it. And I think this should just be banned for being stupid. Like,
right?
I think that's what it comes down to, because it's not even done like how Marilyn Manson did. At least he was a bit more creative. This is just an ugly cover.
Yeah.
She looks stupid. It's just lame.
What does Christianity even have to do with her upbringing or her like
also the culture,
self-expression?
The culture of the world in America was so much different when Marilyn Manson did it. It was actually subversive. Now it's literally the opposite of that. It's like you've been given a prepackaged way to rebel by Hollywood, which means that it's not rebellion in general anyways.
Right. Like, I assume Demi Lovato, given that she's like only 30, was either not born yet or a child during Marilyn Manson's peak.
Yeah.
And this has been done. Like, it's over. It's been over with. You're not countercultural for doing things like this.
Wouldn't liking Marilyn Manson be problematic now anyways, given what he's going through with Evan
Rachel
Wood?
Wood?
Oh, with all the sex. Yeah, he's canceled. Like, he's been fully canceled. So I don't know when.
Yeah.
Whatever
happened with him, like, dating Lana Del Rey?
He called her. Did you see the text messages that were leaked? So him and Lana were spotted together during her like 2013 or so, 2012, 2013. And once she gained a lot of weight, like about a year ago, another artist released text messages that he sent her calling Lana fat, and he's like, "Thank God I didn't date her." Yeah, like a year ago.
Oh my gosh.
He said, "Thank God I didn't date her." Like, she's like discussing now, like whole paragraphs.
Look, you can say that about any other celebrity, but not Lana.
No, I think
that's a rule.
Yeah, exactly.
Why is she protected?
Because we love her.
She's
love her?
special.
And the dresses are
She's
related
a protected
to
class
Rules
of
for
one
thee
person.
and not for me. To me, this is one of those things that for Christians here in America, it feels like, is Christianity bigger in the UK? The chat will probably
No, it's
like,
definitely
it's less,
smaller. There are more Christians here than in the UK.
So these rules are being upheld there where it's less relevant than it is here.
It might be also because they have a larger Muslim population, which at least has respect for Christianity and Jesus Christ as a prophet in their religion. So in general, I'm sure they have more pushback from like generally conservative religious people, whether they're Christian or Muslim. That might be part of why they were convinced to do this. But what do you think of it?
The funny thing is, I remember the first time, like, I pointed out to a friend that they were in the schools when there was Muslim families protesting LGBTQ curriculums in schools in the UK, and a friend of mine's like, "That's not happening." It's like, it's happening, right? So it's weird to see this stuff happen overseas and to see these things upheld. It doesn't offend me. Like, obviously, as somebody who's not religious, it doesn't offend me. It's just really boring and really like predictable.
Which honestly should be a bannable offense. To be this boring and trite.
The real counterculture would be for her to make a Christian rock album.
Honestly,
that would be more,
and harder to do. Like, it would be way harder to actually pull off and do. Also, I want to know, is the couch fake stained? Is the staining on the couch CGI? Did they do this in was this done in Photoshop, or did they actually have her sit on a gross couch?
Demi Lovato, let us know how you
orchestrated this. Yeah, we need the behind the scenes.
But it looks so uninteresting, and the whole bondage thing, especially after Balenciaga's scandal, it's so boring. Yeah. Like, fashion heads think this is like dope or whatever, or like interesting somehow. It's dorky. You just don't know what's cool. It just makes you look older than you are.
No, there's been a total decline in terms of fashion and art like this. I think a lot of it has to do with how they hire people. There's a lot less merit-based hiring in all of these fields, and now it is based on the diversity hiring or nepotism rather than anyone who's actually new or has something creative to reflect culture. I think now they're not reflecting culture. It's what can be provocative, but we've been doing this for 25 years. It's like, okay, get something new.
Everyone knows that when a Disney kid ages out, they have their predictable rebellious phase, which is utterly boring. And it's weirder now when, like, Hilary Duff is the exception, where it's like, it's cool because she didn't have that as much of that phase.
Because her dad allowed her into that industry and protected her from certain things that I'm sure Demi Lovato was not protected from. And she's been off her rocker for years now.
Shock value just doesn't sell to me the way it used to, because there's so much worse that's not mainstream. And
you remember when Demi Lovato was like a little pop punk Disney star that had that type of music. She's now trying to return to it, but if you have a manufactured and heavily marketed rebellious phase that is completely fake and astroturfed, you can't just go and have a real one. You've already done that before.
Yeah. So to me, it's just, I'm really bored by it. Like, the thing is, I thought it was interesting that there was censorship going on in the UK, but the actual rebellion itself is of no interest to me whatsoever. I'd be more interested to see her go through, like, hey, I'm going to start a family. I'm going to go do that. Like, that's the actual counterculture. Like Katy Perry. That would be the actual counterculture.
And something else, the main song from this album that was released was called 29.
We talked about that.
Ben Shapiro reviewed it.
Yeah. So it's about an age gap relationship she had. But my thing is, Demi Lovato went through tons of issues with drugs. She was on, like, the hardest of hard drugs.
And I sympathize with her there.
Exactly, but why isn't she talking about coming out of that? She's talking about all these other issues, like her gender, like all this stuff. But no, that wasn't the real problem. The real problem was you were a serious drug addict. You can raise a lot of awareness about drugs and how they impacted you through this medium, instead of, like, these exactly trite issues and topics that no one cares about.
Who was it? Wilmer Valderrama.
Wilmer Valderrama, because he, like, met her when she was 17 and he was 29, so the song's called 29. But then we talked about that, and it's sort of unfair. And I'm sure that there are people who victimized Demi Lovato much worse than Wilmer Valderrama ever did before she even met him, and then he's just becoming a scapegoat in her mind that is, like, built up beyond what it actually was.
Exactly.
The other thing that's interesting, I didn't even think about the fact that she has such a history with substance abuse, because I didn't go through what's called a 12-step program. I went through what's called health realization when I got sober, right? But most people go through a 12-step program, which inherently has a lot of religious aspects. They do versions of it without it. There is training to that program that takes the religion out of it, but it's inherently religious in a lot of its tenets, right? So it would seem like maybe if she's not religious, she would at least have some semblance of, like, respect for the fact that it's helped a lot of people, but I don't think the industry allows her to do that.
Yeah, instead, I mean, even the album name, like the Holy F thing, like you're drawing this very dubious connection between, like, repressed sexuality and, like, Puritan Christianity, but at the same time using Catholic imagery. Like, you don't understand anything you're talking about or using in your art, which is why it comes off as completely empty.
And all of the factors that contributed to her life becoming what it was, and all of the problems, were exactly the opposite of Christianity.
Yeah.
It was that she was in this immoral environment from probably 5 years old.
Yeah.
She needed, if anything, she should have wished she was in a more Christian environment to blame or whatever. So it's so irrelevant and just stupid.
I see so many shows in movies that still dunk on Christianity. Look, you can do a couple of episodes of that, but when it gets overbearing and over the top, there's a place for criticism of all organized groups that make mistakes and do things wrong. But here, like, maybe it's because we're kind of privy to the attitudes of people in Hollywood or even in the music industry, right? You know that it's not done from a place of genuine rebellion. It's done from a place of actual hatred. And I think there's a distinguishable difference between rebellion and hatred. I feel like hatred is where you end up at if the rebellion goes in, if you don't grow out of the rebellion or if you don't rebel in a way that's actually good for you mentally. Hatred is where you end up at. Rebellion's part of the journey. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I think like what could possibly be Megan Fox and MGK's reasoning behind dressing up like a nun and a priest and making it sexual and raunchy.
Is worse. Like
other than just sheer like immaturity, dorkiness, but also just flat out disdain for the Christians that occupy this country as well. Like, we are neighbors of theirs, and why are we the targets of their vitriol?
It's like, here's the other thing. Like, I remember articles being written about how Megan Fox was actually like a really good mom. Like before she met MGK. So it's like, is she going through like a weird midlife crisis? Is that what this is? And so she's dating It's
like she laments marrying young. She laments
That's
also
exactly
like losing out on opportunities, which is like a thing in Hollywood. She lost out on some opportunities for acting because of being a mom and in a sense, aging out of her roles.
And she was, she was blackballed because of the Transformer movies and stuff she said.
Yeah, she doesn't like Michael. I don't like her. I clowned on her for those takes anyways. It's like, if you're making that much money, boo-hoo.
Did you see her talk to Diablo Cody about it?
Yeah, I had to work like 12 to 18 hours a day. I'm like, oh my gosh, your life is so horrible.
And I was sexualized. It's like, yes, you were sexualized, but that's your job.
Like, who do you think you are?
Yeah,
she has this problem with being perceived as a hot girl when that she doesn't realize that doesn't contradict being also intelligent or having inherent value. That's
and then
just
it
how the
becomes
business
overdone.
is.
It becomes overdone where she has to act like I'm smart. Same with Emily Ratajkowski.
She's not that smart, actually.
But she has to like
She's a
play
midwit.
it. No, absolutely. But they have to play it like, oh, I'm actually deep. Blah,
Ratajkowski's worse. She's I have a real problem with like her, like when if you looked up like boilerplate feminism, it's just like she just read the first page of like Feminism for Dummies, and she's like, men are scared of strong women.
Yeah, we just talked about that the other day. It's just like, where are you even pulling this from? You're in Hollywood.
You're the most privileged of like being a woman for you has helped you out. Like, you're beautiful. I just don't. They have to find something to complain about, and I just literally to me it just does not comprehend.
Yeah, hot women in the first world complain about how hard it is to be them.
The blurred lines video, like poor you.
It's also like the Megan Fox one's funny too because it's like the movie you chose to do. Like you could actually give the argument that maybe like Jennifer's Body had was a great story that got mismanaged as far as advertising goes. But if you sign up to do a Michael Bay movie, and I'm the official Michael Bay stan of this show. I love the explosions. I love the hot women. I don't need anything deeper. If you sign up to do his movies, you're signing up, especially if you're a hot woman, you're signing up to be the hot woman in the Michael Bay movies, which by the way, he's under investigation in Italy. I was reading about this today because apparently a pigeon died on the set of his movie 6 Underground, and they're like looking to prosecute.
They're like getting justice for the pigeon.
It might have been a pigeon. I think it said pigeon, but I was laughing really hard.
Why couldn't it have been a prop?
They could have used a
taxidermied pigeon.
Well, maybe that's why they used the CGI birds. Like, there's not going to be any dead bears on the set of Cocaine Bear this year when we talk about that.
No bears were harmed in the making of Cocaine Bear.
It's just all just kind of cheesy and in really, really boilerplate Hollywood rebellion that I'm just kind of over.
Yeah. Art is suffering these days.
Thanks for watching this clip, guys. If you want to see full episodes or follow us on social media, links are in the description below. Bye.